GetLowered, thanks again for tuning into yet another video. We are taking out the Indian FTR Carbon. Man, this looks really sharp. I've test ridden a lot of the other FTRs. This one, of course, you can see carbon fiber on the fuel tank, carbon fiber on the speed screen, and on the front fender inverted forks. I believe they're Ohlins, right? We'll see some of the features right here. We have 120 horsepower, very impressive, and it's all for $17,000. I mean, that's got to be some kind of a misprint. $17,249. That's nuts. And it weighs under 500 pounds. Wow. So we have 120 horsepower, 87 foot-pounds of torque, 6-speed transmission, ride command, LCD, TFT display, of course, just like most of the Softails. I mean, the Chiefs. And you have a 17-inch wheel, Sport Tech tires, Brembo brakes. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Alright, so now it's in neutral. Alright, that's just weird. That was bizarre. It wasn't turning on, so let's go ahead and get it off the kickstand. I am not flat-footing the bike, in case you guys are wondering. I'm 5'7". I am tippy-toeing the bike. Let's go ahead and put it in gear. We are set and we're waiting. Yeah, so we are ready to get going here. I believe this is the riding modes right over here. Let's see. So we are in standard. We gotta make sure, because man, this thing really takes off. So like we mentioned, it's got a lot of features for, you know, under $17,249. Carbon fiber tank, carbon fiber pieces, inverted forks. Are these? I believe they're Ohlins. I'm not entirely sure, but looks like we're gonna get going here. So a little bit of a weird riding position. It's been a while since I've ridden a FTR. It's been a year, but just gets a little bit of used to. You really are over the fuel tank. Tippy-toeing, of course. The foot pegs are bumping into the back of my calves, my legs. Overall, the engine's it's really quiet compared to the Revolution Max. The Revolution Max has a lot of clicking and clacking because of the valves. So I'm just yeah, it's really quiet. After, of course, I've test ridden the Nightster and the Sportster S and the Pan America. I've test ridden all of those models, so it really is quite impressive when it comes to the noise. I mean, Indian has been selling the FTR for some time now, so let's go ahead and see. Man, what is going on with this guy? Jeez, people are just really impatient. So yes, rider position obviously is different from your typical cruiser Softail. A lot of the weight is on my wrists. I can feel it just on my placement. I mean, it's an aggressive feel. You're over the fuel tank with your legs behind your butt. Your foot controls are behind you, so it's more of a sport feel. A lot of the Harley options, the foot pegs are still underneath of you. The mid controls on the Sportster S, they're still underneath of you. They're not like this, of course. The rider position on the Sportster S as well is not as aggressive as you are in the FTR compared to the Nightster, compared to the Sportster S. It's not the same rider position. Even though those bikes are performance cruisers, you're more of a relaxed, stretched, upright feel on the Nightster and on the Sportster S and the Pan America. This definitely has more of a sport feel. I always compare it to the CBR. You know, you're not entirely over the tank. You're just, you know, kind of like on a Yamaha. It's, you know, it's a nice medium. You know, it's just something that you would appreciate, you know, just riding it for a long period of time. I know there's youngsters out there that say, oh, I go touring on my R600 all the time, not a big deal. Yeah, it's not a big deal when you're in your 20s. You know, once you get a little bit older in age, you start feeling the fatigue, the long rides with no wind protection, of course, no windshield. There's a lot of people that tease us or tease me about my FTR fairing. It's a full-size fairing, and of course the saddlebags, and they pretty much say the same. Oh, if I wanted a bagger, I'd just get a minivan. Hey, each his own, okay? But once you start getting up in age, you're gonna start getting the fatigue. And I always bring up, you know, when I go touring on my Sportster, just riding that thing. What was it? Last time was what, 2 hours? A 2 or 3 hour? I think it was a 3 hour ride, all the way almost to Sacramento. Man, I was done. I was done after that ride. The next day, my neck was hurting, my head, because all the high winds. I didn't have any, you know, wind protection at all. And then of course when you're riding on Highway 5, absolutely high winds, it's just nuts. The overall experience, the next day I had to take, you know, leave. I had to take pain relief. So you know, that's just the reason why you know, you get these baggers, just to get a little bit of comfort. And then at the end of the day, when you finally arrive to your location, you're not fatigued, you're not hurting. So, and I always point out to Perry and $1 Million Bogan Danny, when they went riding to Mexico, Perry took a Sportster, no wind protection, no nothing. And Danny had, of course, his Road King. He has that massive, beautiful windshield on it. And you can see at the end of the day, Perry was exhausted and he wasn't having it. Danny looked like he was more upbeat. He looked like he was ready to, you know, do another 300, 400 miles. So, getting back onto the FTR, I do tend to ramble. And I'm only rambling because of, you know, I've already test ridden this bike a handful of times. I've test ridden the Carbon, the Rally. I remember there was a Rally. I don't know, you know, the full lineup of these bikes. All right, I'm a Harley guy. I don't, you know, really keep up with what Indian's doing here and there as closely as I do with Harleys. But I don't know if I've test ridden this model yet. But I really dig the color scheme on this, the carbon fiber, the gold forks, you know, stuff like that. I really dig the overall look of the bike, and I've always been a fan of the FTR. The looks, the naked, you know, the naked bike look to it, you know, no fairing, no fairing, no body kits or nothing, just a naked performance type of a bike. And so far it's handling just fine. You know, the suspension, the handling, just like most of Indian's offerings, a very nimble bike. And it's under, you know, what is it, 480 pounds. That is light. That is very light. I believe that's still lighter than the Sportster S, I believe, if I remember correctly. It's just the placement of this, I'm just not, you know, quite used to at my age. Yeah, I'm just really over the fuel tank, and I can feel the weight of my upper body on my palms, on the grips. And I mean, that's how you want it. You know, this is the rider position that you want for this kind of bike. You guys can see the guy in front of me right here on the Scout, very relaxed. You can see his arms down low, elbows are slightly bent, you know, very relaxed. His feet are in front of him. This one, of course, performance. You want to be on top of the tank. You want to have your knees on the fuel tank. You want to have a tuck position so you can really, you know, lean into the bike when you do start, you know, getting into the performance of the bike, and you can really start feeling it even in standard mode at about 20% of the throttle. So this thing just wants to go at all times. So I'm not going to turn sport mode here, not until I get into a straight path. So let's go ahead and get going here. So this is where the sun limits my visibility on the Speedo. I can't really see it at this angle because the sun's right above me, right behind me, and because of the angle of the Speedo, I'm getting a little bit of glare, and I can still sort of see the speed, the miles per hour, but right here I can't see it. I can't see my display. I don't know how fast I'm going. If I tilt my body left or right, I'm able to see how fast I'm going. So I'm not sure if the display gets a little bit brighter. I don't know, but on the Chieftain, the display just seemed a tad bit brighter than it does on this one so far. So we're gonna put this in sport mode as soon as we get into this next turn. But overall, the feel of the bike, great. Like I said, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it is still, you know, very comfortable. Like I said, it's not a full sport bike. It's just it's like a good medium of both. Just the placement of the bars and the foot pegs and everything. So it's a good looking bike. You know, it's liquid cooled performance. You get a lot of benefits. 120 horsepower. You know, with the package of 180 pounds, man. That's really gonna let loose as soon as we put this thing in sport mode. And I know, because I just rode the Challenger. That thing has 122 horsepower, and that thing weighs in at 900 pounds. So it's a big difference in power to weight ratio. And that's what I've always mentioned with the limiteds on the Harleys. You have a 114 on the limiteds, and it just needs more performance because you're lugging around what is it, an 890 pound bike on the limiteds, and that 114 powertrain is the same that you get on a street bob. So it just, I get it, it's a different bike. You don't want that performance, I guess. I mean, it really depends on the rider, but it's just, I mean, I see it as a disadvantage when you really have to get out of a situation that requires you to be able to get on the throttle and get out of that bad situation. Or if you're trying to pass up a big rig that doesn't see you, of course. I mean, there's just little things here and there that, I mean, we just benefit from having like a 121 VVT. So yeah, I mean, it's just me. I get it. You want to be comfortable. It's a bike. The limiteds are made to lay down a lot of miles. They're not really, you know, designed to be performance baggers. I guess you could, you know, with all the modifications available to the Milwaukee 8, but I mean, that's why I like the Challenger. I like the Pursuit because of, you know, the power from the factory stocked, the 122 horsepower, and then I believe it's 100 something foot-pounds. So, you know, very ample power from factory. You don't have to do a stage 2 or anything like that like you have to do on a Harley-Davidson. Alright, so let's go ahead and set this to sport, get off the throttle, and now it's ready. Man, it just does not get old for me. It does not get old. Feeling that immediate throttle response. Oh man, if you guys could only feel how this bike kicks. You know, I have a stage 2 on my Lowrider S, and it's kind of like when it hits that sweet spot of 3,200 RPM, it just kicks. You know, I have a 475 in my bike. I have a 475 cam, and it's got decent power all the way from 2,000 to 3,000 RPM, but as soon as it hits that sweet spot of that 475, it just really kicks. And that's the same response I get out of this thing throughout, you know, the full throttle positioning. So you know, once again, on the riding modes, I'm not entirely sure how it works on this system because it is a different engine. It's not a pushrod engine, so this could be a little bit of both mechanically and the throttle lag, because it, you know, it is it's a throttle by wire. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure what is going on here. Oh, okay, they're trying to get in front of the other rider here. right, so yeah, I guess the I guess he's just trying to, I'm not sure, the person behind us, something's going on. There's always something going on in this demo ride. I'm not entirely sure what is going on, but I don't know, this demo ride, there's always something going on behind us. I'm not entirely sure what is going on. Oh, it's probably because of the last ride we lost half the crew at that light. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get everybody together and the whole group together. So we'll just see what happens, or maybe the person behind us must have cut them off or something. I don't know. But where was I? Oh yes, the throttle response. I know it's a throttle by wire. You don't have a push-pull cable on this, so it's electronically. So you have a throttle body. There is a throttle lag between your throttle and the throttle sensor and the throttle blade on your throttle body. And the ride modes, that's what, you know, changes that sensitivity. They changed that that throttle lag. Man, that's only at 30% of throttle right there, and this thing just wants to take off. We are in third gear, and now we're in fourth, and we're cruising at, you know, 60. So unfortunately, we have a guide in these test rides. It's not the same like with the Harleys, where they just let you enjoy the ride and you could really open her up. We're going highway speeds now. You know, a lot of wind noise. We don't have any, of course, obviously there's no wind protection on this bike. We don't have a windshield or anything. You do have a little bit of a speed screen, but I mean, that's just for the headlight. It looks nice aesthetically. It's a good looking piece. I like the overall design of it, but yeah, there's no wind protection. I'm not getting much wind buffeting. It's just, I'm just fighting wind. So that's neat. That's something that I noticed on the Chieftain. I was getting wind buffeting, but on this one, it's just, you know, it's just wind, so there's no vibration. My visor's not rattling or anything like that. It's just, you know, your average wind. All right, nothing too dramatic. I think it's handling pretty good. That could be because of the speed screen. Maybe it is deflecting a little bit, but I can feel the wind on my chest. I can feel it on my head. So, you know, it's a naked bike. All right, it's a naked bike with a 4-gallon tank. Is that right? How big is this tank? Is it a 4-gallon tank? So it's just like I mentioned, when you go riding on a naked bike, touring. If you go touring on a naked bike, you kind of welcome the stops, the gas station stops, the rest stops, and you know, just talking from experience. I don't know if I remember, I was mentioning Perry, was it this video? I already forgot. But of course, you know, 40 minutes into your ride, if you're going long range and your fuel indicator goes off, you're pretty much ready to take a break. So that's the way I see it. Let's go ahead and get on over here, and then, man, that is responsive. That's at fourth gear at 65. There's still a lot, you know, there's still a lot of potential in these bikes. In these bikes in sport mode. So it's, yeah, I mean, I really dig the ride modes, and I'm glad Harley went ahead and added ride modes to the VVTs, and I'm pretty sure they'll move that feature down to the Softails, maybe 2024 or 2025. But you know what, I had a blast on the FTR. That's why what's it called, Dan the fireman, he owns an FTR, and I believe he he went from a Sportster to an FTR, and the bike's an absolutely gorgeous bike. All right, the tube frame, the design, the tank, everything about the FTR, it's a beautiful bike. It is. And you know, I was in the market for one of these, but I just like to tinker with my bikes. I like to modify them. If you guys seen my builds, I always have to do something, and the FTR is a complete bike. I mean, there's nothing much you can do to it. So thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more demo rides. Life Risk, get out there and ride. Later.